Hello, you join me at London Waterloo on the 20th of December 2025. This red train behind me is the class 455. They are over 42 years old, and in the next few days, at the time of recording, they will be gone. They will be withdrawn from service on the 23rd of December. 3 days left in passenger revenue earning service. So I'm going to have one last ride. I'm going to take this train, well, throughout the day I'm going to go on it multiple times. It's on the Shepperton branch today, so I'm going to get on it a few times, talk about the history of these trains, the operations, and their withdrawal and replacement by the class 701s. So let's get on 455, 729 and 455, 719 to have one final ride on the class 755s.
So yes, at the time of this video's release, the over 40-year-old class 455 EMUs have now been retired. But I was lucky enough to travel on them during their final Saturday in operation and their final ever venture down the Shepperton branch for South Western Railway. Hence, in this video, I'm having a day of riding on the 455s, exploring the South Western network, whilst explaining the history, operations and demise of these iconic units. First off, I'm taking these 455s, which are the only two units in operation during the filming of today's video, up to Hampton Station, 15 minutes from Shepperton, to explain the origins of these units. So yeah, there's a surprising amount of other train enthusiasts on board this train, I assume because they don't want to get caught out in the farewell tour tomorrow. We'll be very busy tomorrow, or well, by the time you watch this video, that would have already happened. But yeah, leaving Waterloo now. I think I'm going to take this train, well, we're on the Shepperton branch, probably take it to Fulwell or Hampton, and then we can talk a little bit about the history of the 455s. But yeah, it's going to be sad to see these trains go, and I've probably only got one or two more journeys left on a 455. We're just arriving into Vauxhall now. I'll see you at Fulwell or Hampton, whichever one I decide to get out of. I don't know yet. Hello, you join me here at Hampton on the Shepperton branch of the South West Main Line. Just come off that 455 pairing. The guard had put farewell 455 on the PIS displays, which was cool to see. And yeah, lots of enthusiasts on board. It was quite a nice journey though. I'm going to be getting those same trains back. This is the last ever time a 455 will travel in passenger service on the Shepperton branch. They only run normally on Saturdays on the Shepperton branch, and this is the last Saturday before they are due to be withdrawn. But yes, let's have a little look at the history of these fascinating trains. To do that, we have to cast our mind back to the 1970s and 80s, where all the trains running out of Waterloo were slam-door, old electric multiple units, which basically predated the nationalisation of Britain's rail network in 1945. They were old trains, all slam-door, and they were getting on a bit. The newest slam-door train was actually built in 1974, and British Rail sort of said, that's probably not good. We need to get on to actually electric sliding doors instead. And that's what they did with their PEP trains. So these prototype PEP trains, which were called, the PEP stands for Prototype Electro-Pneumatic Trains. They brought out three prototype trains, the class 445 and 446. Which were built in 1973. And these trains were experimental trains to be an upgrade to the slam door trains. They featured sliding doors as well as motored axles and a much higher capacity, also featuring a much stronger body shell. These PEP units were deemed to be a success, and so British Rail decided to roll out proper non-prototype trains, although we still call them the PEP for some reason. And these included the 313s, 314s, 315s, 507s and 508s, with the latter, the 508s, being sent onto the South Western Main Line out of Strawberry Hill Depot. So the 508s did run on and out of Waterloo, although these weren't enough to completely eradicate the slam door units. The 508s also had issues on the South Western Main Line, especially with wheel side protection, which saw all 43 units actually pulled from service during their first autumn in service. And because of this, the units were eventually sent up to Merseyside to join the 507s at Merseyrail. And because Merseyrail only ran 3 or 6 carriage trains, they actually removed one of the centre carriages from the 508s and put them into storage. So now that these 508s were on the way out, going towards Merseyside, they needed a replacement, so the Class 510s, which were later redesignated the Class 455s, were ordered by the Southern British Rail region to replace the 508s, as well as replace a lot of the slam door units. 137 4-car Class 455s were ordered for construction, except not exactly all of them were 4-car, but we'll get onto that in a minute. Now, these trains would be different to the old PEP trains, and they'd be fitted with different camshaft control systems and were designed for more inner suburban services with different interiors. And although they had the same bodies as 317s and 318s, they had slightly different interiors, no aircon, no toilets, and were only limited to 75 miles an hour. The biggest difference to the old PEP trains, well I say old, they weren't old at the time, the biggest difference to the PEP trains would be the fact that they would be built from the base body of a British Rail Mark III and were thus made of steel, not aluminium. 505 Class 455 carriages were built and were also put with the 43 middle car Class 508 carriages, which I spoke about earlier, giving 137 4-car sets, with the units rolled out in 1983 on the South West Main Line, leading to the retirement of the older 405s and 415 slam door units, as well as the 508s, which moved towards Merseyside. Some 455s were also brought out of London Victoria to replace some of their ageing slam door units on the rest of the, well, now Southern Rail network. 3 sub-variants were made, the Dash 7s, Dash 8s and Dash 9s, or the Dash 8s were actually built first in 1982. These included 46 units allocated to Stewart's Lane Depot in Battersea, near Victoria, and 28 to Wimbledon on the South Western Main Line. We won't be speaking too much about the Southern units because they were all withdrawn by May 2022. The 455-7s were built from 1984, with 43 of these built entirely for the South West Main Line, being stored at Wimbledon. Now the units look a lot different. Now these are the units which are out today, the Dash 7s. They have the air horns relocated next to the coupler, and they also have different headlamp clusters, and they also have the Class 508 middle carriage. So the carriage that I was in a minute ago was actually the 508, the old PEP carriage. So you can still technically ride the old PEP trains in the UK. Well, not when this video is released, but at the time when I'm filming you can, but it's only in the form of a Class 455-7 instead. And finally, the 455-9s, there's none of these that remain, they've all been scrapped, but there were 20 of these trains, and they were similar to the Dash 7s, basically entirely the same, but they had no 508 middle coach, and they were entirely Class 455 coaches. So that is the construction history of the 455s. What about operational history? Well, we'll get on to operational history up until privatisation. Now, the units commenced operations on the 28th of March 1983, with the first unit unveiled back in November of the previous year. Originally, the units had BR blue and white livery, but they eventually gained the Network South East livery from 1986. Now, some of you may recognise the British Rail blue livery because actually South Western Railway rolled out a special heritage livery of the 455. I think that unit's now been scrapped, unfortunately, but they did bring back the BR Blue to celebrate the 455's history. Now the units continued their operations out of Wimbledon, with the southern units eventually moving to Selhurst in 1986, but they continued to run out of Victoria. So both Victoria and Waterloo had the Class 455s. However, we now get to the privatisation era. The trains sort of just ran uninterrupted, pretty reliable, pretty decent, well received, an upgrade to the slam door units, and they ran uninterrupted until privatisation, when it was all changed. The 455s moved to 2 different operators, Connex South Central and South West Trains. We'll only focus on South West Trains in this one, and the units were owned by Eversholt, who would lease out the trains to the train operating companies, and that's where I'm going to leave here at Hampton. I'm going to get on those 455-7s towards another station down the line. I think Wimbledon would be fitting, because that is where the 455s are still maintained, and where they were maintained back when they were first introduced. So let's go to Wimbledon.
Well, as you might be able to tell, I'm not at Wimbledon, I'm at Putney because I didn't realise that train was a via Richmond train, not via Wimbledon. So I'm here at Putney, I'm going to change to East Putney District Line tube station, get the District Line a few stops to Wimbledon, and we'll continue there. But yeah, that was quite a cool journey as well because that 455 skipped a lot of the stops such as Barnes and North Sheen, so it's quite surreal to be on this commuter, 40-odd-year-old, 42-year-old commuter train and skipping half the stops. But yeah, gonna get the tube to Wimbledon, so I'll see you there. Oh, it's very bright. Hello. Welcome to Wimbledon station. Here, let's talk a little bit about the 455s and their operations post-privatisation. Of course, here at Wimbledon, this is where the 455s were maintained throughout their life with South Western, and actually at the time of recording and at the time when this video releases, they will still be maintained there. The 455s are on lease with South Western until March. That's when they finally go. So technically, they could still be in service in 2026, but only if the 701s have failures or something which forces a 455 into service. Anyway, we start with South West Trains, where the 455s enter service with South West Trains, which was the first privatised rail operator. At first they sort of didn't change much at all. They received a very sort of light South West Trains livery, which was the same as the Network South East livery, just with different colours. And it wasn't until, I believe, 2004 when the first 455 gained the South West Trains livery. And it was during this refurbishment in 2004 that the units also received their pretty iconic orange interiors. So that livery and interior of the 455s is over, wow, 20 years old now. So you can see why they're being replaced. The units received new 2x2 grammar seats, that's what they're called, as well as new bench style seats, whilst they also modified the doors to allow them to open all the way, as before they sort of didn't open all the way. That's the best way I can describe it, I guess. With all of these modifications being done by March 2008. Now, the biggest differences mechanically for the 455s came in June 2014, when all units began receiving new AC traction systems by Waterloo. No idea if that's how you pronounce it. This included replacing the old camshaft control system with a new SS insulated gate bipolar transistor, and they also got a variable voltage, variable frequency drive, whatever that means, and new AC units installed too. I know what that means. New brake controls also allowed for regenerative braking to be installed, which helped to improve the reliability and efficiency of the 455s. Overall, this whole upgrade to the 455s reduced up to 500 kilograms from each unit, which increased acceleration, but also the upgrade helped to reduce maintenance times, as units didn't have to be maintained as much, and helped to improve reliability, and the units received several golden spanners during their time with South West Trains and South Western. Now, when SWR took over operations in 2017, they promised in their contract that they were going to replace all the 455s, 456s, 707s, and I think the 458s with brand new trains. And that's what they did. They ordered the Class 701s, with one literally coming in behind me, which I am about to take. They were due to be replaced by 2020, the 455s, but of course, they're still going strong today. And that brings us to, well, today. I'm about to board this 701, which is actually the Great British Railways Class 701, which I haven't seen yet. I'm going to take it probably to Vauxhall or Waterloo, and we'll talk about the demise of the 455s.
Now, at this point, a few of the clips of me talking about the retirement of these units at Vauxhall Station basically became corrupt. So I'm going to explain on voiceover about the retirement of the 455s, and then we'll rejoin myself at Waterloo for my final ever ride on a 455. So, how about the retirement of these units? Well, the retirement has been nothing short of abysmal, really. Now, as I mentioned at Wimbledon, when South Western Railway took over the franchise, they promised that the 455s would be replaced by 2020. The Class 456s, which are sort of similar to the 455s but only two carriages, were retired much earlier. However, nearly 6 years on, the 455s are, well, still technically with South Western until March 2026. The 701 introduction has been nothing short of catastrophic. Countless delays due to COVID-19, technical issues, disputes with the RMT and ASLEF, and countless other faults and issues with the 701s has meant that the 701 introduction has been incredibly delayed, and I'm planning on making a full video on the Class 701 introduction in the future. The Class 701 was finally into service on the 9th of January 2024 on the Windsor line, and since then more 701s have been rolled out, meaning the 455s can finally be retired. As of December 2025, there's around 30 units of the 701s in service, with by summer 2026, 75% of the 701s being in passenger service. In my opinion, these units are a huge upgrade to the 455s, not only because they have aircon, they have toilets, they have more capacity with much more standing capacity and are 10 coaches, they're also fully walk-through and they have better acceleration and are overall just better trains than the 455s. As much as I'll miss the 455s, the 701s are a huge upgrade, and the chargers and Wi-Fi and aircon and passenger information systems and other things will be a huge upgrade compared to the 455s. The Class 458s have also been fully refurbished, and these units have now been brought back into service, meaning that less 455s are needed to complete South Western's daily services. So then, let's join me back at London Waterloo for my final ever Class 455 journey from London Waterloo to Clapham Junction.
Right then, you join me back at London Waterloo. One final journey, the 441 or 442 South Western Railway service to Shepperton for the final time on a 455. And we've got 2 minutes. So same 455s that I've been on all day, but one last time. I think I'm only going to take it to Clapham. I won't go too far, especially as it's about to go, so I'll jump on now.
Last 3 years in comes from our show. Your dead week, you don't get to work on your dead week.
Huh?
Yes, of course, yeah.
I think he said he's back on the 28th. 29th.
Yeah. Well, we can figure something out because I've got plenty of people.
Yeah.
So.
I'm really good at this. I am really good at this thing as well. Yeah. Like I grew up on this. Like golfing.
So, next station is Clapham. I'm going to get off here. This is it for my journey on the 455s. 1983 to 2025. I'll miss them. They've been pretty good units, but the 701s are here now. I'm happy that they're here, but I'm sad to see these go. So, let's go to Clapham and see this final, well for me, the final 455 set depart.
What clothes you've got, you need to start wearing.
And here at Clapham Junction, that is my final ever ride on a Class 455. Sad to see them go. They have been, well, soldiers on the South West Main Line for a lot longer than I've been on this planet for, and they have served the communities around South London and the South of England very, very well indeed. It'll be a shame to see them go, but the replacements are just as good, and I think better. I think they're better for the overall passenger experience. But yes, that is it. By the time you're watching this video, the 455s will be no more. Definitely an end of an era, but one which is well overdue. But that's it from me here at Clapham. I'm going to make my way back home in the Midlands. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found it informative. I hope you found it interesting and entertaining. If so, smash like, smash subscribe, comment your thoughts on the 455s. Have you got any cool memories? Were you
there on the final few days like I was, let me know in the comments below. Thank you to all my YouTube members and Patreon members. You'll be getting your shout outs imminently. And one final time, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
And of course, a huge thank you to all my YouTube and Patreon members, including first class members Aaron Barry, Crispin McKee, and JBNEL. Business owned members Andrew Bowen, Anthony James Moore, ARK, Conor Gregg, Clive's Travelling Trains, Kimberly Carriages, Daniel Burford, Dave CDF, J Teco, Lewis C21, NJTE, Ollie G, Real, That Transport Girl, Train Life GB, Will Ho, and Zach Renfrey, as well as all my standard premium and standard class members. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. You can join them on this list from as little as £2.99 a month, or become a member from as little as 99p a month. Included in your membership includes access to all my videos early, as well as access to exclusive members only videos. Thank you so much, your support means the world to me, so thank you. Once again, thanks for watching this video. Do check out my Twitter, Blue Sky and Discord server in the links in the description below, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.